Welcome to the Chicago Bears podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear down, Bears fans. Training camp week is here. We have made it. Good Lord, the offseason felt so long. I mean, technically, we still in it, but shut up. We excited. Training camp is here. It is time to break down real Bears football with Lance Briggs. And unfortunately, not off to a great start with how Chase Claypool is going on the PUP. We got to talk about that. And listen, I'm not having a podcast on training camp week happen without having a conversation about Lance Briggs at training camp. So all that and more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Lance, how are you doing today, brother?
Hey, listen, I'm feeling good. You know, it'll be about 116 degrees here in Arizona today. So it's we're gonna burn. So, but you know, what else is new?
I saw you like do the lean back before we started recording and look outside like not yet.
Yeah, because
how are the evenings there? How are the evenings there? You good at like 5 p.m. to go out?
I'm outside a lot. You know, I'm outside a lot. So when that back end of the heat, the sun is not as intense.
Yeah.
Even though the temperature is up, and so on that back end, you know, you get any kind of shade, temperature drops 10 degrees. So it starts to, we get that desert wind. You have to live in the heat in order to understand what that desert wind feels like. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to say the least.
Hey man, you avoid the Chicago winters. That's all you were really going for out of it. But hey, I mean, we got training camp week here. I'm excited about the week. Unfortunately, it's not off to what we would call the greatest start here, as we do have Chase Claypool being put on the PUP list. Now, when asked about what was going on with Claypool, basically the Bears have said that this is just a precautionary thing, that, you know, it's just a few minor things. But I'm not going to lie. Not to say I'm overly concerned, but the Bears have told me day to day on guys, and then Lucas Patrick missed an entire season. So, Lance, when you hear this, what are your thoughts on Chase Claypool being put on the PUP ahead of training camp? What kind of impact do you think that's going to have on this Bears offense?
Well, he seems to make the headlines. You know, the headlines seem to follow him no matter what he does. And I'm at this point right now, I don't see any point in looking into it too deep. You know, he probably tweaked something, and maybe, you know, they said there's a number of things. There's enough things that have to be addressed that need to keep him from being full go for however long it needs to be. The hope is that that he focuses on all of that and having all of that. He has some good trainers there in Chicago. If he allows them to take care of himself and himself taking care of himself, then, you know, I have to believe that he wants to get on the field as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because the only thing that does concern me is if this gets lengthy, because I saw how Justin Fields was with guys in training camp last season. If you weren't in camp with them, you weren't getting the football. And it seems like where Chase Claypool is right now, especially in a contract year, you need to be getting the football. But we know that next man up mentality is pretty much how every team in the NHL or NFL operates. When you think about that next man up mentality, you think about some of the players that are going to have an opportunity to step up. Who are you looking closest at? Is there somebody who you've got your eye on where it's like, Chase is down, now I want to see what you can do in that spot?
Well, we went and got DJ Moore. That's our guy. Yeah. You know, of course, Darnell Mooney, loved watching him last year, you know, take a step, you know, in toward you know, one of our dependable wide receivers. You know, Mooney is a playmaker, you know, and, you know, there were times last year where Velus Jones did some good things for us. You know, we had some flashes of something that you know, that reminds us of why he was drafted so early, you know, and I know he's a bubble guy, but I also think, you know, this is a year that he can really break out on special teams and help the team as a third, fourth option. So there's a lot going on right now, even EQ St. Brown as one of those pivotal wide receivers. There's a lot of opportunity for those guys with Claypool out to come out and really show out in the preseason. Whether that is for the Bears come the preseason or come the regular season, or you're putting tape on so another team picks you up. Either way, you got to go out and you got to put the best film forward, put your best foot forward for that film.
How do you mentally prepare for that as a player, right? Like you're in a situation, you've been the man for a long time, so you got to go deep in the Rolodex here on this one. How do you mentally prepare for the situation where somebody may be ahead of you and all of a sudden coach comes to you and says, it's you. It's your time to shine. You got to put something out there for us. Let's go. It's go time. What's the thought process there?
Well, football players, just like any other sport, you always got to know that you're always one play away anyway. You're always one play away. There's an injury, you've been competing. The coaches have seen it. They start to tell you, listen, you're going to play 50% today. You're going to play 50%. And whoever plays the best, is going to be our starter moving forward, or we're not getting enough production from our starter. We're plugging you in. You're always one play away. So with that being said, if you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And everybody knows that. All right.
How easy is that mentality though? Because I it's funny because in football, I think that it may be a little bit easier on the stay ready, get ready, because the physical part is so impactful. I know in the NBA, they like, listen, if I get 6 shots, I got to make 3 of them for me to stay on this court. Is it kind of that way in football where you have to stay ready to get ready, but that mentality isn't as easy as it is to say?
No, I mean it's certainly easier said than done when you get out there and you're facing somebody with like moving parts. You're not hitting bags. This guy that if you're a linebacker, you're covering up a tight end. You don't know if he's pass blocking or he's going to release on a route. You have to be prepared for everything. But if you get out there and you lunge and he olays you and he's running 15 yards down the field wide open, you're probably not going to be out on the field very long, So you have to, when I say, you stay ready, you never have to get ready. Yeah. You're ready for whatever. If he steps towards you, you know how to lock out. You know how to disengage. If he starts to release, you know how to stay in balance. You know how to stay square to make him run around you. Do the things that stick to your fundamentals, and your fundamentals will help you to be ready when your number's called.
It's always good I think the exciting part about this, at least at the wide receiver position, we talked about some of the defensive depth that, might be a little bit of a concern, but at least at the wide receiver position, I do feel like, right, if Claypool was the number 1 here, I'm very concerned. He was the number 2 in this situation, but we didn't know because I think Darnell Mooney still is vying for that number 2 spot, even though he probably goes back to the slot. We know him and Justin have that connection. But I think just because of the depth at the wide receiver position that I see, right, like I was to the point where I was basically like, Velus Jones probably isn't going to make the team because I don't know if he's a better wide receiver than those 4 guys. I don't know if he's a better special team player than Dante Pettis. I think that this is an opening for a guy like Velus Jones, and you mentioned him being a bubble guy that he really needs, and I think this is his best opportunity to take advantage of it because now, right, I can put my size on display. I can put the fact that I'm supposed to be this bulldog on the offensive side on display at training camp.
Yeah, and you can add value, through special teams. Come out, and I remember when he came out that first year, his rookie year, he had some foul ups. He had
I believe 5 fumbles his rookie year.
Right. And we're 2 years past that now, and so it's time to put that stuff past and move forward. So for him, coming out and doing ththings the right way, having returns. Number 1, securing the ball. Yeah. Securing the ball on all special teams and then doing what you do best. And the reason why they drafted you is you are a guy that can create in the special teams. So if you can create, now you start to add value. They start plugging you in a little bit at receiver. And when your opportunity is called, you're catching the balls consistently. Now we starting to change our mind on how we feel about Velus Jones. I think this is a great opportunity for him, but in order to do that, he has to fall on his fundamentals. You have to have sticky fingers, hold on to the ball, and create on special teams.
On training camp week, what's the biggest pressure heading into this week right now? What's the thing that's always, that you think with most players is always on the forefront of their mind? We're 2 days away from it really being real to some of these guys.
It depends on the situation. There's guys that sign free agent deals, that know that they're always going to be 1 day away from getting that pink slip, and coach is saying, hey, we, bring your playbook and we're releasing you. It's going to be a fight for them to be noticed. It's one of those deals where the ones are going to go against the ones, the twos are going to go against the twos, and then the threes and fours are going to get to go against each other. But how much weight are coaches going to have on threes and fours going against each other? If you're a 3 and 4, you're going against a 3 and 4. The coaching staff, it's a hard sell unless that 3 or 4 is going against the ones or the twos. So it's an uphill battle for a lot of those young guys. A lot of those young guys, not only the young guys, but the free agents. Even the veteran free agents, they know their situation. And for some of those guys, some of the guys that got drafted or the free agents that are coming in, it's a great opportunity to come in and show them your value. Why they brought you in, why they drafted you so high. It's an opportunity to open eyes and build trust for the men that are next to you, and let everybody know, man, we got a guy, That's what you want everybody to say. Hey, fellas, we got a guy right now, and they see you at the table. They come put their plate down and they start wanting to get to know you a little more because we got a guy.
What was that moment for you where all of a sudden the Bears realized that they had a guy in Lance Briggs showing up? What was that day that you had that you were like, oh man, hey, y'all got something here, boys?
Shoot, I don't know. I stuck to I stuck with the rookies, all the time. I was drafted with a player, Bobby Wade, that went to Arizona with me, so it was easy for us to congregate amongst each other. They had this paper that would go out where they said which rookie stood out each week, and so most or that day, and most of the days they would go out there, they would say, hey, this rookie Briggs, he's going out. He's hitting people, oh man, this kid Briggs is going out. He's hitting people. So I noticed that part, and just kind of took it and just kind of went from there, but and at that point I knew that at least somebody is watching.
Yeah. It's as a young guy in there, who was the person that you hit that told you, hey, chill out, young fella? Did you have any of those, any vets in the room that you caught them good? You was like, hey, man, listen, I'm trying to make the team out here. I'm trying to make an impression.
I didn't hang around long enough to hear anybody say that. Like I was hit and I was back to the huddle. You know what I mean? Like I was flying around. I was hitting. I mean, I wasn't the only guy, but I was flying around when I played and I hit and I was getting back to the huddle, man. I didn't have time for this discussion of that because number one, I'm all of us rookies, we're all playing every special team and going straight from all those special teams right to 7-on or team or inside drill, and we had to play all the different linebacker positions. I was tired. I just wanted to make it out of practice without having to be hooked up to an IV.
Well, that was the next question. What's that first for these rookies coming in? What's that first training camp practice like? Is it a different level of practice that you've done your whole life?
It's different. It's very efficient. NFL, they're very efficient. They don't waste a second of the time that they have, while they're out there. I think the thing that I worried about and a lot of us worried about all the time was, not being attentive enough. Like if it's special teams, I'm on this special teams, but I'm not on this one. And I got to know right when we switch over. And if we don't switch over, the worst thing that you can hear is somebody yelling out, hey, where's Briggs? Where's Briggs? You're like, oh, no. No. And you're running out there like, no. And they look at you like, oh, you don't want to be here, don't you? You don't want to be here. That's the stuff that, you always worry. So a lot of times when they go to another special teams, just run out there Just run out there anyway, whether you're on it or not, and then have them tell you to get out. Hey, you're not on this team. Get out of here. Hey, you're not on this team. Get out of here. Well, I just want to make sure. I don't want you. Yep. The scariest thing for you to do is one of them coaches start yelling your name, and you're not on the field where you're supposed to be.
Who was the coach? It looked like you had a little flashback right there. Who was the coach that was screaming for you to be there?
We had a special teams coach named I think it's John Sweatman, and that was one of the deals. What would happen is on the sideline, guys would play around, so you're having a little conversation. Like, I know that I'm not on this special teams, but guy, one of my teammates might be three guys down, maybe a veteran. He's like, "Hey, Briggs!" And you're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" And then you look over, everybody's laughing at you, and I'm like, got my heart racing, man. You got my heart racing.
That's messed up, dog. You're just trying to make a play. You're just trying to make a play.
I'm trying not to get kicked off this team. I'm trying not to get cut.
Is there a training camp moment for you that really stands out where even in your rookie year, it just clicked? Like you were like, I can be here. I know that I'm good enough to be a number one on this type of team, or I'm good enough to be in this league for a long time.
Hey, I knew it play one. I knew it play one. I knew it in the summertime. I knew it in the summertime when we were doing OTAs that rookie year. And the truth, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, because they were moving me from one linebacker position to the other, and I couldn't just focus on one. So, and during the meetings, coaches would have me focus on one position, and then at practice, I'm playing the other two that I wasn't focusing on. So it took a little bit of time to grasp up everything. But when I was out there, I did know, I'm like, once I get it, I'll be ready, and in the time that I don't get it, what I can do is I can run to the doggone ball every play.
Yeah.
And so that was, I knew that I was ready for the top level in football. I knew it when I left college. I knew that I needed a new challenge, and then when I got up to the NFL, I was like, this is the challenge I've been looking for.
What's the change like? How hard is? I heard Derrick Henry talk about it one day, and he was like, "There's nothing in college outside of like structure that prepares you for the NFL game, because it's so much faster. You're hitting so much harder. You're processing so much information at once. What is that change like as you're going through that process that first year?"
It's one of those deals where it's you, when you look around, like I'll look around the defense that I'm playing with, and I see how effective they are. Like our defensive linemen, they get one-on-ones, and it cuts that time down for that quarterback to throw the ball. Our corners, when I look over, the ball is being thrown. They're in position. They're competing all the time.
Yeah.
And then I start to see the difference between playing at the highest level versus the collegiate level. The amount of error, and when you call an error in the league, it's a lot of times it's minute. It's very small. As opposed to vapor locking and being outside of your fundamental, being outside of your space in college. Too many times I'm like, man, that's your guy, or you can't get beat deep on that, and so the windows that are created defensively are different in the league than they are in college. And for a quarterback, I'm telling you, the window is so tight, on a lot of times, because defenses are so disciplined, as opposed to college, where as soon as you look down, you know exactly which receiver you're going to, because he's wide open.
Yeah.
The play is wide open, and so you have to understand what wide open means in the league versus what wide open means in college and high school.
Those we heard about those margins last year a ton with Justin Fields. How close are they? Can you explain those in words? Where, right, like there always was the conversation about Justin of he's not throwing the ball quick enough because he's waiting to see the receiver open. What is the receiver open in the NFL versus college?
I'll tell you this. When I would drop, they just off of alignment, I knew that, the outside receiver was more than likely going to be running a slant. So in that slant, I'd get a 3-step. So as soon as that quarterback catches the ball, or he's in gun, he catches the ball, he turns his shoulders. As soon as he turns his shoulders, I'm starting to head that way right now. Now, when the slant's coming, say, this is our receiver, and this is me. Okay. So when the slant's coming, and my job is to get to the midway point of where the slant is and plant my foot. When I get there, plant my foot and try to come back because the quarterback's either going to hit that first window, or when I run out, he'll hit the second window right there. So that's what you mean when we talk about the window. There's a window. There's a small window, but you have to know how to use that window. You can either throw it quickly. Now, if that DB is pressing, or if that DB is on that slant in the beginning, it's going to be hard to hit that window. Or if the linebacker gets a good jump, if I get a good jump, then you want to try to get that second window, but it's got to happen fast because it's 3-step and you don't have a lot of time.
That's so crazy to just hear that breakdown of it to me, because it's like, I feel like when the people hear the window, it's like, oh, well, you got to hit it at this moment. It's like, dog, it's not. Like, this ain't Madden. Like, I gotta understand this ain't Madden. Although that's a helpful tip for Madden. I will be using that now. Now I know left foot plant, press X. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. But it's not Madden. And I love getting the football knowledge out of you guys that play, because like explaining the windows, explaining the depth and different things to people is like, bro, like it is a millisecond of a decision.
Yeah.
That keeps you in the league or moves you out of it, because either a pass is completed or you missed it and this man's breaking down the sideline. So
yeah, there's a lot you have to process in what do you call it, hundredths of a second, but you do that through constant repetition. You repetition.
Yeah.
You see it, and even when you see it, and you see it that many times, there's still going to be mistakes. There's still going to be mistakes, but it's a numbers game. So, you play what you see. I always say, you play what you see. And if what you saw was wrong, you can live with it. Yeah. You can live with it. I can go to my coach and say, this is what I saw, and your coach can either, a lot of times you're going to say, man, I see what you saw. This is what they did. They manipulated what we do. That's how we play. Or, you saw the wrong guy. You were seeing the wrong guy. It's very simple, and for the why and the answer, it usually doesn't take long to get it.
I was gonna say, how long does it take you before it becomes second nature to you, where you're just doing this off of the repetition? You're just doing this because I know this is where I'm supposed to be in this style of defense, or this is how this play runs, or I just know what this play is. How long does it take? Is that a training camp thing? Is that end of the season thing? How long usually?
Sure. Well, we see that you get so much repetition that, let's say we're running cover 3. We run cover 3 against every possible situation.
Yeah.
Every possible situation. And we do it over and over and over and over and over again. You get bored of it. You get bored talking about it. You get real bored talking about it. I love being out on the field. I'm like, man, I just want to be out on the field instead of talking about cover 3 that I've learned since my first year ever playing football at 7 years old. So but at the same time, you're so prepared for how they're going to attack you. You look at the splits, you look at where they are, you look at their alignment, you look at the formation, and that's all of that is going to tell you what you need to know. If we're in cover 2, if we're in man, regardless, there are things that we're looking for. Why is their number one receiver that catches, 20 more footballs than the next receiver lined up closest to the tackle? Oh, he's definitely not blocking. So alert a receiver coming across the field.
Yeah.
These are things that you have to, if you pay attention to it, you don't have to be the fastest guy out there. You just have the most knowledge. You can still get to the ball faster than a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think that's what we've praised Jack Sanborn for, right? It's a ton on this podcast over on ESPN 1000. We've heard that there's a lot of love for Sanborn, not because he's the most athletic dude. I mean, I don't think he'll ever be more athletic than Tremaine Edmonds or TJ Edwards, but
well, he's from Illinois. He's from Illinois.
You know,
that has something to do with it.
A little bit. It helps. We can't show love. If you can't be from here, we don't show love. You know what I mean? Hey, I will say this. The amount of Chicagoans that are on both teams right now, the Bears and the Bulls, it's a lot. Listen.
Yeah.
I love it here too, but I love Alabama guys. Give me some Georgia dude. I know what's, you know what I mean? Like, hey, not a lot of Illinois players that are the best of the best in the league right now. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hey, listen, we call them diamond in the roughs.
I love it.
Just take a little bit of time. You know what I mean? Listen, they might not be the first rounders, but there's the guys that bring that hard hat and they bring their lunch, and over time, everybody can see them for what they're really worth.
Oh yeah, and I think that's the part that you really get excited about with a guy like Jack Sanborn is just. I think the guys who are the best at what he's doing right now are the guys who realize it. Like Jack has said it. He's like, I know why I didn't get drafted. Like, what do you want me to tell you? I know why I didn't get drafted, but I'm one of the smartest people out there on that field. And I think that is what makes certain guys on this team so valuable to me, because there are some guys that have the athleticism. There's some guys that have the brains, but that combination of both, I think Jack Sanborn has just that perfect mix of both. And that gets me excited about, especially coming into training camp, seeing those guys healthy. I'm ready for training camp to get cracking off here. Lance, I mean,
can't wait for football season.
Bro, I'm so ready for football season. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
Here's the tough part about being in Chicago with it, right? See, Lance gets the blessing during the winter of Arizona, even though he will be here. He'll be in town, so he'll get the feel of winter a little bit. But the hardest part is wishing for football season to be here, but knowing what weather comes with it.
Well, I guess you can look at it. You can look at it as a few different ways, okay? Because right now I'm outside in the hottest months of summer in Arizona, and it's mostly football that we're doing out here. It's mostly football. So all I'm gonna say is that I might have the luxury of not being in Chicago during the winter, but you have the luxury of not being in Arizona in the summer.
You're doing it for the love of your kids, though, Lance. What do you? I don't feel. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing it because you love your kids. You got to do it. Yeah.
That's true. And as a coach, you move a lot less, than as a player. So, it's more empathy that I have for the players when they're being disciplined for not listening.
How many Coach Lance moves? Hey!
Get on the line!
Hey, line! Line! Come on now!
Line.
That boy crazy out there. Anybody here? He don't know what he's doing. Line, boy! I told him. Stop playing with me. I can see you as like a 50s coach, cigar in mouth, Papa Bear Hallis hat, full suit, just yelling at the kids out there.
I'm a very easy coach to get along with, to get along with, as long as you're doing what you got to do.
Hey, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. What is your favorite out of all of your seasons training camp story that you've had, where whether it's on the field, off the field, in the locker room? What's your favorite moment about being at training camp?
I love the whole idea of eat, sleep, crap football. Like, it's this, you leave your families. You come into this, you come into his dorm. For us at that time, we were at Olivet Nazarene, and we all bring our stuff, and from the moment that we wake up, it is football. It is all football. It's bonding. It's us gelling together. It's us coming together, and we have a specific amount of time where it's just us doing us for that common goal before we're able to go back to the normal, or semi-normal life, and then get onto a regular schedule. So I just love that part of football, and it happens at every level, at every level of football, and it's one of my honestly, it's one of my fondest memories of the sport and what I really love about the sport. We were just coming off a camp for the high school last week, and it was a good 3-day camp in the mountains up in Payson, Arizona.
Yeah,
and it was great to see the boys really come together, and they were stronger, and it was good bonds that were created from this camp, and it sparked a lot of memories that I had when I was younger, and I'm glad that these youngsters get to go through it as well.
It's funny to hear you say that, because literally every other player that I usually talk to is like, man, I hated this time of year, but I loved being around the fellas. I hated the field time, but I loved being around all of my brothers and stuff like that. You actually enjoyed the whole training camp process of just wake up, football, chill, football, eat, football, sleep, wake up, football.
And I love sport. Now, the only thing that when I was younger, the thing I didn't like about training camp is that I was a part of every meeting, and so I had to set my alarm. It was just like, man, can I possibly get 25 minutes of sleep and not oversleep? And I'm constantly rushing from one side of the campus to the other to make sure I make this meeting.
Yeah.
But when I became a real vet, then I knew that I got 3 hours that I can take a nap. I got 2 hours, and I'm going to start my stroll about 30 minutes early so I can walk slow. And that was when training camp was the funnest for me.
I will say that most of the people I talk to, there's not a lot of Lance Briggs is in there, right? There's not a lot of like, I'm one of the dominant linebackers and one of the best defenses of all time. You gonna tell me?
Hey, but we had a good group. We had a very good group, and we all looked out for each other as well.
Yeah.
There was always, you talk about a brotherhood. There was always somebody that was knocking, and Peanut, I would say, listen to my door's unlocked. Just open it and make sure I'm up. Hey, same for me. Make sure I'm up. So we always took care of each other.
Hey, that's good, man. Because I have heard the stories about oversleeping, and that ain't good.
Rough. Just like you wake up and just like hearing that name, Briggs. Where is Briggs?
It's that same wake up is like if you late for work or something. Oh God, what time is it? Who's there? What? Yeah. I gotta go.
Oh yeah,
running out, one sock on, one sock in your hand, you throwing it on as you going. Hey man, training camp week is here. We're excited for it, as you can tell. Can't wait to see what this is all going to turn into. And hopefully no more PUP list, guys. Let's hope that we are keeping this team as healthy as possible heading into the season. I think that's pretty much it for the day, Lance, unless you got something else to shoot out to the people. Give them a little hope about this Bears team coming in. Any no hope? No.
Yeah, I got something. It's called Da Bears.
Da Bears. Hey, follow us on everything at ESPN Chicago. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Lance at Lance Briggs. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Chicago Bears Podcast. Peace.